Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to a Division 2 video, and the Chameleon is back, baby. If this was your favorite weapon, if you like to fire with this weapon, get it out of your stash right now, because after TU22, the Seasons 2.0, this got a buff, or better said, a little bit of a rework. This is definitely worth it right now. You can shred through everybody, and it is such a great gun, and it can even fight for the contender of best in slot assault rifle. I know a lot of things change around weapons, a lot of things change around the talents, but the Chameleon is hands down one of my favorite exotics to play with right now, especially with this build combination in the background. I will give you another viable choice with a little bit more survivability if you wanted to, but man, make this build right now, shred through everything, and you can even keep this weapon up 100% of the time with his talents. As you know, there are 3 buffs that we can keep up with the talent of the Chameleon, but after all of the buffs and changes, this is so much easier to do, and even I can keep it up for 100% of the time, just shredding through everything that comes on your path. But enough intro, enough gameplay. I might have some snippets of gameplay throughout explaining what this build is all about, and of course going into the secondary build as well. So let's dive right in, and I will not let you in suspense any longer. And this is the build that you just saw. Of course, like always, starting with our specialization, we are using the gunner specialization. Why? Mainly for that 10% armor on kill to give us a little bit more survivability. And we are of course using the Chameleon. Chameleon got a decent buff over the TU22 and Seasons 2.0 changes, and this is such a great gun to play around with. Yes, it's still here and there situational as we need to stack up our talent, but overall you can at least keep that 90% extra weapon damage active almost all the time. The Chameleon is on expertise level 24, has a total damage of 113.46k. We have an RPM of 1035, a mag of 57-58, as there is of course 1 bullet in the chamber. We have headshot damage of 70% and an optimal range of 20. And that is the only downfall a little bit of this Chameleon, that you don't really want to shoot further away than 30 meters, as the optimal range is already 20. It is an assault rifle, but kind of feels and or plays like an SMG. I of course went for damage to target out of cover on there. The reload time and stability are great on this weapon. 1.7 seconds for the reload time, and this is without all the boosts active. As we read over the talent, Adaptive Instincts, hitting 30 headshots grants 20% critical hit chance and 50% critical hit damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 65 body shots grants 90% weapon damage for 45 seconds. And then the last one, hitting 20 leg shots grant 150% reload speed for 45 seconds. So we can reload in about like a second, maybe even under that second. It is insane. It helps you out a lot. But of course, we're going for that extra 90% weapon damage when hitting body shots. And what did they change about the Chameleon's talent? Nothing much about the headshots. They lowered the body shots for that 90% weapon damage by 10 bullets, and they lowered the 150% reload speed for our leg shots with 10 bullets as well. And because we have 58 bullets in the mag, we can almost one clip all the way up to that 90% weapon damage and just shred through all the enemies that you encounter. I like to shoot the body shots first and then trying to go for head and leg at kind of the same time, as you can get this to work. as it only is 20 shots on the leg and 30 on the head. Those are 50 bullets and we have 58 bullets in our mag. So in a perfect world, within 2 mags, you can get fully stacked out within the talent. The buffs refresh when you are out of combat. So the buffs won't go away. The moment that you take out everybody within that 45 seconds, all the buffs will come back for you and you can take out everybody again. I even ran around with a little bit of a different setup of this build because I'm trying out a bunch ones. This, of course, is the hardest hitting one, but I will give you a sneak peek in the other build as well if you want maybe a little bit more survivability. But I had a 100% uptime on my talents. And if I can do a 100% uptime, you can do it as well. It was, of course, within a Lincoln Memorial. There are a couple other missions and you can hit that 100% uptime. So it is definitely doable and you can just shred through enemies with this gun. Then for my secondary and my pistol, you can choose whatever you want. I went for the drill. It's already proficient if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I went for the drill because it wasn't proficient. And then of course for the handgun, you can choose for whatever you like. I'm just using the TDI card whenever I play with my teammates and somebody goes down. I switch over to my TDI card. I get my revive hive out. I will have 2 charges. And then of course for the overview of the build, this is the build. Yes, it is a striker build. Striker is still the best way to go for your DPS build, and this build got shouted out to me from Rice and Dot, so thank you very much, boys. Appreciate the Brutality clan always coming through. So a huge shout out to you boys for showing me this build and letting me test it on stream. And that's why we're here. I want to share this with y'all. But definitely check out Dot and Rice. Awesome creators, streamers. Check them out. So, like I said, it's going to be the 4-piece striker build. We're going for the backpack. We're focusing on full crits and full damages. And then we went for a Seska chest piece with Obliterate on there. Let's start with that. Again, this is all towards critical hit chance and critical hit damages. Why Seska? As that gives us an 8% crit chance. And then of course everything else from the striker re-rolled on critical hit damage. And some we did crit chance. So we have crit damage on the mask with a crit chance mod. We have the crit damage on the holster. We have the crit chance on the knee pads. And then we have on the backpack, we have another crit and a crit damage mod on there. Why the backpack? Because this will give us, instead of that 65% weapon damage, 90% weapon damage. And we of course only need to get to that 100 stacks as we're not using the chest piece. And then for the secret of this build, why we are running around with more ammo and why it's so much easier to take out people with this beautiful, beautiful Chameleon, and those are the Zviadoka named Eagle Grasp gloves. And you might think, why the hell would you do this, Prime? As this comes with the 15% weapon handling, and this will help us out a ton with controlling the Chameleon, especially at a little longer range. As I already mentioned, you kinda don't want to fight further than that 25 or maybe 30 meters away from your enemy. And then the second part why we're using Zviadoka is that 15% magazine size. As I already showed you and I already explained to you, we have that 58 bullets in the mag right now because we're getting that 15% extra magazine size. And this gives us, of course, the chance to almost one clip the full 90% extra weapon damage for you. And then within the combination, in a perfect world, you could stack all of the talents of the Chameleon with 2 clips. And that's what's also so incredibly great with the Zviadoka brand set, giving us that 15% magazine size. You would think it wouldn't be worth it, but the combination with this Chameleon, the weapon handling, that magazine size, and then of course the sheer power of strikers. This is such a fun build, and it grew out to be one of my favorite pretty damn quickly. Let's jump over to the skills. This was the whole overview of the build itself. I am using a Revive Hive as I am a Revive Hive main, and I'm using the Chem Launcher for the foam. You can use whatever you like. A lot of other people use a shield. You can go for that shield as well. I've been trying it out here and there. Sometimes I play with a shield, sometimes I play with my chem launcher, but I still love my riot foam just splooging over everybody. And then, of course, we have the stats. What you want to go for is 51% crit chance and 129% crit damage. Why the 51%? Because if we go back to our weapon and we go over the talent, it will read hitting 30 headshots grants you 20% critical hit chance and 50% critical hit damage for 45 seconds. You might not always hit those shots. That's why we at least wanted to build towards that 50%. As now, if it hits, we're of course at 71%. As the cap is 60% on the crit chance. So if you wanted to, you could also go for that 41%. That will kick up to that 61% whenever the talent goes active. And that is the only downfall, because then the rest of the time when the talent is not active, you will have a lower crit chance. And that's why we went for that 51% just to be sure. And then we went for that 129% critical hit damage. What of course got raised to 179% critical hit damage whenever we shot those headshots. What you also could go into is this setup. This is with the memento and everything else just high end. You will have your damage instantly. You don't have to stack. Of course, we need to pick up the 30 trophies for our memento backpack, but if you don't want to go into striker, if you are a little bit sick of playing with striker, or you want a little bit more survivability, this is a great build as well. Hands down, the striker will hit harder. You can hit up to 1.5, 1.6 million on the health headshots with striker, where you might hit 1.1 to 1.2 with this build, but it has a lot more survivability and it will kind of do the same for you. So what are we going for? Of course, again, our specialization, that doesn't change. Our weapon doesn't change. We went for our memento backpack. We are still going for the Zviadoka gloves because it's just godly combination with our Chameleon. We went for the Fox Sprayer's knee pads to give us a little bit more extra damage to damage your target out of cover. We went for critical hit damage on that. Then I went for a Grupo holster, Fenris mask, and then again, same as our other build, we went for a Seska chest with Obliterate on there. So the only things that I changed around were of course the striker pieces. This has a little bit higher in the stats as we again went for 51% crit chance, but now we have 154% critical hit damage. That of course gets raised to 204% whenever we shoot our headshots. So this is the second build that I wanted to showcase to you real quick. This is also something that you can go for if you're sick of striker, or you want some more survivability, or you just love the memento. There's so many reasons why you could also go for this build. Again, the striker will hit a little bit harder. And now, of course, I want to hear your opinion about this. Are you rocking around with this build already? Did you even think about the Zviadoka gloves? And what would you prefer? Are you going for the striker version, or are you going for the memento version? I would love to hear your opinions in the comments down below, but that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you very much for sticking until the end. Like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And of course, if you're new here and or you want to be updated by the Division 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. Pure Prime out.